Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, rather had gonna
All right.
Since the merger,
Yeah.
how do you think the MLP brand has done? Do you think it's ascended? Do you think it's stayed the same? Do you think it's descended relative to the PPA? And generally, do you think MLP is in a good place right now?
I think it's stayed the same. And I think next year will pretty much be a make it or break it year, in my opinion. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think the problem with MLP is that it was very thrown together last minute. Like, we didn't get schedules till, April or
Right,
something.
so you can't have that excuse next year.
You
right?
can't have that
gotta
next
get your-
year. And to be honest with you, the piggybacking off of PPAs, it's too much. It's too long of a week. The players are exhausted. They don't want to be there anymore.
Well, the issue is when it was afterwards. Before the PPAs, that didn't seem to be too much of a problem.
Sure. But afterwards, it's long.
Right.
It just feels like it's too much. for a lot
Vegas
of
was
these
pretty
players.
abysmal. The
Yes.
Monday, Tuesday,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
got to be the worst Major League Pickleball
Yeah.
ever, I would
What
have
is
to guess.
happening over
Yeah.
there?
Well, it feels like people just aren't going to watch on a Monday, Tuesday either. Like,
No, there
Yeah,
were like
it's
30
just-
people there in the
Yeah.
stands.
Yeah, and that, yeah.
The
Vegas
five, the
was-
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 was a total miss.
I felt like you guys, you were counting the people. In
You're
the
just
stands.
confusing people.
Yeah.
There's 1, there's 2, there's 3,
Yeah.
4, there's 5.
Yeah, so I think next year, I think Tyler's right that this is the big year, and the rumor is that they're going to do like an actual season.
Right.
They're only piggybacking off of like 2 PPAs or 3 PPAs because they already had contracts in place. So if that's the case, and MLP still doesn't have that same feel, then yeah, I think that it's in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, MLB is interesting because I think even now you have players that some just don't really care about it, and then others that love it, and so you have that dynamic between some
We
players
had
care
Tour
and
Wars,
some.
right?
Do you care?
What's that?
That's why we had Tour Wars.
I always try whenever I compete on the court. If I'm playing in
Does
any
it
tournament,
piss you off when you see players who seemingly don't care?
mean,
Let's ask both of you the same question. Do you?
it's a little disrespectful.
Do you right?
But
Do you feel like players who don't care, have a bad attitude, are just showing up because they have to? Do you
I think they
it's
should get fined.
disrespectful to their colleagues, their fellow pros, and what you guys are trying to build?
I would agree.
And do you take it like I think your answer is yes, but do you feel that yourselves like that pisses you off? Like why are they?
Go ahead, Zane.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're very, very lucky to be here, and we're super overpaid, in my opinion. And so to not take advantage of that is, I think, disrespectful, more so to the people that like want it and that are grinding and that are losing money coming to these tournaments and paying entry fees and stuff. Like, I think that's more disrespectful there. Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, anytime I step on the court, I don't care who I'm with, I'm going to give it 100%. I think Zane's the same way. But yeah, I mean, that's the beauty, and then also the ugly side of having guaranteed contracts. You have some people who are continuing to fight for their pay, and then others who just want to show up.
What are your thoughts about ripping a massive sponsor, like during matches? Like maybe they pay $2.5 million a year for a ball sponsor. I don't know.
That bounces, yeah.
And then they rip them in the middle of events, middle of tournaments.
Do you think that's bad, or you think it'd be worse if they were like, if they truly believe it's an issue and they're not going to address it in the moment just because money's being transacted?
Well, I think there's a time and a place to address it.
I don't
right?
think-
Do you think that?
I don't think there's an issue anymore. You guys
Yeah.
came out with an article actually recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, about the ball, and I think most of your research, I haven't read it, but I think most of your research was on the first generation of the ball, to my understanding.
He has zero idea what you're talking about, just so you know. Look
Oh,
at
you
him.
got a lot
of writers,
He has
You guys have-
no
so you
clue.
guys
I
have
do
an
know
article.
that we publish something. If you ask me about the
All right,
contents,
do you like the Vulcan ball?
Yeah, the ball is great now, to be honest. Like,
Are there any issues with it?
the issue would be for a rec player that it's a different ball from the beginning of the match to the end of the match. It goes dead quickly, but currently, I think it bounces great. Like, I don't think there's really any bouncing problems, and I think it
Have you-
stays
I
around.
would agree with that.
Have you ever lost a match because of the ball?
No, I mean, the ball's the
It's a
same for
tough
both
argument
players.
to
That's
make.
like,
It's a tough
Isn't
argument.
I think
it?
that's
what I feel like.
well,
'Cause
I mean, the
it's
ball,
equal.
but that's a bad
You
a
make
bad
it all the
question
time when
because
you lose.
the
Well,
ball can
yeah,
be bad.
ball is
but
the paddle.
the ball can be
The
bad,
net.
but it's the same ball for both people,
Right.
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
that's a different
And I
question.
think that we're
but,
all in agreement. Like the first gen was rough.
yeah, they
but
went out
I
of
actually
round
didn't
very
think the
quickly.
first gen was
Yeah, but
that bad. But
there's clips of these guys complaining about Gen 2 as well.
That's
I
what
mean,
I'm
as
saying,
recent
that-
as the.
There's not
last
many of those
PPA.
players, and it's
Well,
the players that
It's two
don't like
players.
to
You
lose.
can say who it is.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to say who it is?
You can say whatever the hell you want.
Yeah, you say whatever you want.
It's
You
two
already said
players.
Who
Hitler
is
a
it?
bunch
Who
of
are the
times.
two?
It's Ben and Colin. They're the ones that hate it, and they actually they were on the committee to make the ball. They were sent like every single phase of the ball as it was being made, and they approved it. And then once it came out, they were mad because who knows?
I just think the ball situation is very delicate, and that had we been using a different ball, people would still have issues with that ball. It's too hard, it's too soft, it cracks.
Could you imagine a Dura
With these
with
paddles,
these paddles?
Yeah, that's actually a good point.
Insane.
Nobody's played with a Dura
Yeah,
like
I have
with a
once.
Gen 3.
Could you imagine
Yeah.
a Dura with a Gen 3? I mean, it would be nuts, right?
Yeah.
What do you think is the most used ball at the amateur level?
I think it's probably still a Franklin, huh?
Probably still Franklin would be my guess.
gotta be
It's
Franklin.
Franklin
but
by a mile, and it just made me realize that like these hot paddles are going to be less of an issue with a Franklin ball, so you're going to hear less of those complaints on an amateur court than you are on a pro. When you have
I saw a guy
Vulcan
yesterday-
paired with a hot paddle and people who can swing hard.
We've talked. I mean,
Random
we talk
thought,
about all
but
these
yeah.
Yeah,
these same
that makes
topics
sense.
all the time. But I watched this guy. He's probably realistically a 5'2" player, duper, and he was playing. I'm not going to say who because you can find him up. But he has this mod paddle, Yola. And
Yeah.
He was just ripping balls.
Yeah.
Ripping balls like I've never seen. He probably gained a full duper point in singles because of that paddle. That's
Some
a great
of them
advertisement.
are
for them.
crazy.
Yeah.
And to this day, when I play against this gearbox, like that thing, the
That's
way it comes
still
off the
the
paddle
noise.
is
Just the
insane.
noise is like enough to make you
But
flinch.
it's crazy. I mean, for a paddle to take a player of any level and push them up just by the paddle, just by the
Yeah.
equipment, 1 point, is crazy.
Do you
Right.
think that there are players out there right now that are, I mean,
Doing better than they should be
Yeah,
because
I
of
mean,
their
yes,
paddle.
100%.
I mean, I was told by a couple pro players that there's players out there that they're like without that paddle they're okay.
Yeah.
Pro players are a pretty unreliable source for that, for the most part,
Because they're
because if somebody has a better paddle, like,
true.
but I do think there is some. It's you have to figure out what state of mind they're in. Did they just lose to somebody
But
with
we've
a
seen
D-Lam?
these players that like
But this guy, he hit a winner from the back of the court like I've never seen before. He just ripped it.
Back foot fade away.
Yep. Insane.
Kwong style.
I think I
Exactly.
got like a good, at least quarter of a point duper boost when we got these proto hype paddles, right? These new ones. Like, I
Do you
felt
think it
like
helps as much in doubles? I'm of the opinion
I
that
do,
it
100%.
mostly helps more in singles
it
than
helps
doubles.
more in singles, but in the hands battles and doubles, that's the biggest thing. Like
Yeah.
when I get crossed up and like I'm hitting a chicken wing and I can somehow still like clock the ball pretty decently while getting caught up. Like,
I just
that's
think in
huge.
doubles, a lot of the players can't control it. Can't
That's
control
true.
that
Wait,
power.
how does your paddle help with that?
because it pops off quicker, right? If I have a soft
They'll hit it
paddle
better.
Got
and
it.
you
just
catch
got to
me
get
in
a paddle
chicken
on
wing,
it. I see.
Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I get a paddle on
Right.
a ball, like it's going back with a decent amount of pace.
Yeah. No, that's what I mean. The gearbox specifically is that, right? Like as soon as the ball it makes contact anywhere on that paddle, it's just trampoline.
But I remember
Launches.
watching a bronze medal match in Salt Lake, and Lucy was playing, and Matt was she was playing against Etta and Megan Dazan, and Matt is telling Lucy, speed everything up as hard as you can at Etta, and then move.
Brooke Buckner, her drives are
And-
wild.
Yeah,
They are so powerful.
And same thing when she was playing Zoe,
yeah.
and he's like,
Zoe's
speed
drives are-
everything
yeah.
up and then move.
And then just duck.
And then just duck, and that was like their game plan, and it worked because those guys were struggling to control.
I just think
the
in
power off
singles,
of
you're
those Yolas.
you're trying to hit winners, so the power helps a lot.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Okay, you guys have probably heard about Move. We've mentioned them a little bit. Move, spelled M-U-E-V, so they're an apparel brand, and the founders come from a pretty impressive background. Designer out of Lululemon. The founder and CEO is out of Levi's and Ralph Lauren, and basically they're trying to build a on-court, off-court, high-end apparel for pickleball, which I think we all can agree that is something the sport definitely needs. And so they're a sponsor of the pod. I'm a big fan. In future episodes, we're going to be wearing it so you can actually see what it's like. But you can also check them out at movebrand.com, M-U-E-V brand.com. And they offer sleek blues and neutral tones for a laid-back, polished look for the guys. And for the ladies, they offer stylish pastels and vibrant colors, perfect for anyone looking to make a statement on and off the court. So we just had Cameron on. She is a part of the Move team. She's not just a brand ambassador. She's working with the design team to ensure the apparel meets the needs of real players. Literally, when she sat down, I was like, how's it going with Move? And she was like, we're working on the designs. Like, she's super in the know. And so it's cool. It's a brand that ties in a lot of people from around pickleball, and I think they've got a good mission and a good team, and so you can check them out at muevbrand.com. If you're looking for stuff to wear on the court that's high quality, functional, Move is your brand. Check it out.
Yeah.